Hey everyone, Jamie here from TechnicalCafe.com, and in this tutorial, we're going to be talking about nested loops in PHP. So what exactly is a nested loop? A nested loop is just one loop inside of another loop, and this can actually be as many levels deep as you'd like, so you can have a loop inside of a loop inside of a loop, you can nest for loops, you can nest while loops, and you can actually nest any combination therein, so you can have for loops in while loops, or while loops nested in for loops, things like that. So what exactly can you do with a nested loop? A lot of times you might use a nested loop for working with databases and traversing through tables and things like that. Another example that I like to give, and it's a more everyday style example, if you take a look at the odometer in a car, this number here, this 3, depends on this number here changing before this number updates. So this number will eventually flip to 9 and then it'll roll back to 0. And once this number here rolls back to 0, this will become 4. And then this number depends on the number before it, and etc., etc. And this is an example of something that you could do or implement using a nested loop. However, in this tutorial today, we're not going to be working with databases or odometers. What we're going to be doing instead is making a pyramid of asterisks. And it might sound simple, but it basically demonstrates how to go about using nested loops. So we're going to be using a pair of nested for loops, and the outer loop is going to be used to make the different rows. So we're going to have 10 rows here. And the inner loop is going to be used to print the asterisks to the screen. So for each row, we're going to have one asterisk, and then we're going to add an asterisk for each row that follows. So let's jump into our code here and actually start writing the code to make our pyramid. So the first thing we're going to want to do is create our outer loop, which will give us the individual rows within our pyramid. So we're going to start off by leaving a comment here saying outer loop, and then we're going to actually create our loop here and say for, and we're going to say I equals 0 because we're going to start at 0. We're going to say I is less than or equal to 9 because we're going from 0 to 9. And in computer science, most things start with 0. So we're going to have 10 iterations through this loop. And then what we're going to do after each iteration is actually just go ahead and add 1 to whatever I is. And then we're going to open up our code block here. So now that we have the loop to create our individual rows, we're going to want to create a loop to actually write the asterisks to those rows. So in order to do that, it's going to be pretty simple. We're going to say inner loop. And then we're just going to start off by saying for, and instead of using I this time, we're going to use j, and you'll see why in just a second. So we're going to say j equals 0 because we're going to start with one asterisk, just like we start with row number 1, and we're going to say j is less than or equal to I, and then we're going to say j plus plus after each iteration of the loop. And again, we're going to open up a code block here. So this might look a little confusing, but let's just quickly talk about it and find out what that means. So with this loop, we're going to start off with I, and we're just going to go all the way up to 9, which is going to give us 10 rows in our pyramid. So from 1 to 10. And then what we're going to do here with the inner loop, because we're writing asterisks to those individual rows, what we're going to be doing is creating a new variable called j, and we're going to set that equal to 0, so we can, which is our starting point. And then what we're going to do is keep writing asterisks until the value of j is equal to the value of I, less than or equal to the value of I. And the value of I is going to be whatever row number there is. So for example, if we're on row number 1, the inner loop is only going to write 1 asterisk because we're on row number 1. Same thing for number 2, j is going to be less than or equal to I because we're at row number 2. I will be 2, so this inner loop will print 2 asterisks. So pretty simple. We're going to go from 1 to 10 in both loops, and everything should work out just fine. So let's go ahead and actually start writing the code to print the asterisks. So all we're going to do for that is just use a simple echo statement, and we're going to say echo, and then put an asterisk right there. And let's go ahead real quickly and save this, and jump over to Google Chrome, and see what it would look like if we were to run this now. So you'll notice that we do have our asterisks, which is what we want, but we don't actually have the pyramid. And the reason for that is because we just didn't include a line break. So we can go ahead in our outer loop here and just make echo out a line break. So echo br, and then what we're going to do is save this, jump over here to Google Chrome, and we'll refresh. And you'll notice that now we have the pyramid, which is exactly what we want. And if we quickly count the number of rows, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, we have what we want. And we should theoretically have 10 asterisks here, we have 1 here, and then for every row following this, we add an asterisk, and it looks like all is good there. So now that we've created the pyramid starting with 1 asterisk and going to 10, Let's go ahead and flip this and write some code to create a pyramid that's top heavy, going from 10 asterisks at the top to 1 at the bottom. So if we jump back over here to our text editor, what we're going to do is quickly create another set of loops. So we're going to say outer loop. And then what we're going to do for this is say for. And just like before, we're going to say I, but this time we're going to start with I being equal to 9, because we're going from 10 asterisks to 1 at the bottom. So we're going to say for I equals 9, I is greater than or equal to 0, because we're going from the bottom to the from the top to the bottom now. And then we're going to say I minus minus. So we're just going to take one row away each iteration of this loop. And then following that, let's create our inner loop. And for this, what we're going to do is say for, and just like last time, we're going to use j. So we're going to say for j equals I. And this is a little bit different than what we have in the top loop, and you'll see why in a second. So for j equals I, and then for j is greater than or equal to 0. And then what we're going to say is j minus minus. And we're going to create a code block here as well. All right, so the next thing we're going to do now is echo out our asterisk. So we'll say echo asterisk. And then what we're going to do, just like before, is we're going to go ahead and echo out our line break in the outer loop here. So we're going to say echo, and then just a simple HTML line break. So let's save this and then jump back over to Google Chrome. And you'll notice that now we have the same pyramid, just reversed. So starting with 10 asterisks here, and then descending down to 1 asterisk at the bottom. If we quickly take a look at the code here, you'll notice that we have the same for loop that we have in the outer loop, except everything is reversed. So we have I equals 9, because we're starting with 10 asterisks at the top, and then we're going to go down to 0. So we're going from the top to the bottom, and then we're just going to subtract one row each time. And then for the inner loop, what we're going to be doing is starting with the number of asterisks equal to whatever this I number is here. So we're going to start with 9 asterisks, which is really 10, because we're going to 0. And then what we're going to be doing is going all the way down to 0. And that's why you see that this is for j equals I, because we're starting with whatever is equal to this number. And then everything else is pretty much the same. So the echo statement for the asterisk is the same, and the echo statement for the line break similarly is the same. So thank you for watching. Feel free to put any questions in the comments section below, or any video ideas for future videos. And feel free to follow me on Twitter at JamieMCG, and have a great day.